Part 5. Chapter 1, At the Warehouse. Welcome back, beautiful people. Part 5 is here, and let me tell you, this chapter is going to take you on a ride. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell right now. It's completely free and it helps this channel so much. Also drop a fire in the comments to let me know you're here for Part 5. Okay, when we left off, Diana had just seen Jaewon's message exposing her as a dangerous assassin. Her cover was blown. Min Jae was reading the evidence. And Diana was standing in the hallway of her new husband's villa, watching her entire world crumble. But here's the thing about Diana, she doesn't wait for the flood to come and flush her out. She makes her own moves. Let's get into it. Diana's mind worked at lightning speed. She had maybe 30 seconds before Min Jae finished processing that message. Maybe another minute before he came looking for her. Maybe 5 minutes before armed guards surrounded the villa and her escape routes disappeared entirely. She wasn't going to wait to find out. While Min Jae stood in the hallway, his back to her, his eyes fixed on his phone screen, Diana moved silently and swiftly. Like the trained operative she was. She grabbed her secure phone from where she'd hidden it in the master suite. Slipped on flat shoes, heels were useless for running. Pulled her hair back. And then she was out the service entrance, moving through the villa's garden like a shadow. If Jaewon was coming with evidence, she needed to intercept him before he reached Min Jae. She needed to control the situation. She needed to be the hunter, not the hunted. Her fingers flew across her phone screen as she walked. She typed a message to Jaewon. "We need to meet. Now." The response came almost immediately. "Interesting. I was just on my way to see Min Jae. Meet me first. Or I disappear and you never get answers." There was a pause, then Jaewon sent an address to Diana. Diana smiled grimly. He thought he was setting a trap. She was about to show him who the real predator was. Y'all, Diana is not playing around. She's not running away, she's running towards the problem. Most people would panic and flee, but our girl is about to confront Jaewon directly. Drop a smiling face with horns in the comments if Diana's energy is giving you life. And if you're enjoying this story so far, please smash that like button. It literally takes 1 second and it helps the algorithm push this video to more people. Thank you so much. Now, let's continue. The address led to a private restaurant, the kind with no sign outside, no windows, and staff who were paid very well to forget faces. Diana walked in like she owned the place. Jaewon was already there, seated at a corner table with his laptop open and a smug expression on his face. He clearly expected the scared, cornered woman who had been avoiding his gaze in the limousine. He did not expect what walked through that door. Gone was the innocent, wide-eyed Diana who blushed and stuttered. Gone was the helpless girl who needed protecting. In her place stood a woman with cold eyes, perfect posture, and the unmistakable aura of someone who had killed before and wouldn't hesitate to do it again. Jaewon's smug expression flickered. Diana sat down across from him without waiting for an invitation. She didn't fidget. Didn't look nervous. Didn't do any of the things a caught spy should do. She just looked at him. "So," Diana said, her voice flat and businesslike, "what do you want?" Jaewon recovered quickly. She had to give him credit for that. "What do I want?" He leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. "I want to know what you want. What's your angle? Why are you in my best friend's life? Who sent you?" "That's a lot of questions." "I have a lot of concerns." Diana tilted her head, studying him. "You care about Min Jae. He's my brother in everything but blood." Jaewon's voice hardened. "And I won't let some assassin waltz into his life and destroy him." "Assassin?" Diana raised an eyebrow. "That's a strong accusation." Singapore. 3 years ago. Jaewon pulled up something on his laptop and turned it to face her. Security footage from the Kim extraction. "You were sloppy. Isn't this you?" Diana looked at the grainy image of herself, younger, different hair, but unmistakably her. "I was 19, she said calmly. "I've improved since then." Jaewon's eyes widened slightly. He hadn't expected her to just admit it. "So you're not going to deny it? What's the point?" Diana shrugged. "You have evidence. I'm not going to insult your intelligence by lying." "Then you admit you're here to hurt Min Jae." No. No. Diana leaned forward, and something in her expression made Jae instinctively lean back. I was an assassin, she said slowly and deliberately. Past tense. I was sent here on a mission, yes. But things changed. Changed how? Diana was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer, more vulnerable, and almost against her will. I fell in love with him. Pause. Did Diana just admit she's in love with Min Jae? To his best friend? Is she playing Jae, or is she actually telling the truth? I genuinely can't tell anymore, and I wrote this. Drop a 2 hearts in the comments if you think she means it, or drop a performing arts if you think she's manipulating. I want to see what you guys think. Also, beautiful people, if this story is giving you all the emotions, please take a second to share this video with a friend who loves drama. Send it to your group chat. Post it in your story. Your shares help this channel grow more than you know. Now, let's continue. Jae stared at her like she'd grown a second head. You expect me to believe that? I expect you to believe whatever you want. Diana's walls came back up, her expression turning cold again. But here's the reality of the situation. You can go to Min Jae with your evidence. You can tell him everything you know. You can show him that footage. She paused. And he won't believe you. Jae jaw tightened because he knew she was right. He had known Min Jae for over a decade. He had seen how his best friend looked at Diana like she hung the moon and stars. Min Jae was rational about everything except this girl. Even if I show him proof, he'll not believe you even a little bit. So I will advise you not to waste your precious time. Diana's voice was almost gentle. Jae was silent. So here's what's going to happen, Diana continued, standing up. You're going to stay out of my affairs with Min Jae. You're going to treat me like the sister-in-law I technically am. And you're not going to make trouble. Or what? Diana smiled, and there was nothing warm about it. Or there will be consequences. And, trust me, Jae, you don't want to find out what I'm capable of when it comes to my business. She turned and walked toward the exit, her head held high, her posture radiating confidence. Behind her, Jae quickly grabbed his phone. He had been recording the entire conversation. Finally, he had something concrete, her own voice admitting she was an assassin. This would be enough to convince Min Jae. This would. His phone buzzed. A message. From an unknown number. I knew you were recording our conversation. Don't try to start what you can't finish. Jae frantically checked his phone. The recording app was open. The file was there. But when he pressed play, nothing. Static. Corrupted data. She had hacked his phone. While sitting across from him. While having a conversation. Without him noticing. Jae sat back in his chair, a mixture of horror and grudging respect washing over him. What the hell is she? He whispered to no one. Diana hacked his phone while they were talking. She was sitting right there, having a whole conversation and simultaneously deleting his evidence. Our girl is built different. Drop a fire in the comments if Diana's skills are giving you chills. And beautiful people, if you're watching this far into the video, you're clearly enjoying it, so please hit that like button if you haven't already. Every single like helps YouTube recommend this video to more people. We're at 10 likes right now, can we get to 100 plus? Let's make it happen. Now, let's see what happens when Jae meets Min Jae. That evening, Min Jae and Jae met at their usual spot, a private room in a high-end restaurant where they'd been having conversations since their university days. Jae was a wreck. His hair was disheveled. His suit was wrinkled. He looked like a man who had just had his entire worldview shattered and then stomped on for good measure. Min Jae, by contrast, looked perfectly composed. He sat with one leg crossed over the other, sipping whiskey like he didn't have a care in the world. You wanted to see me, Jae said, his voice tired. Here I am. I got your message. I know. That's why I'm here. To explain. To show you the evidence. Jae paused, his expression pained. Except I don't have any evidence anymore because your wife hacked my phone and deleted everything. Min Jae said nothing. She admitted it, Min Jae. She sat across from me and admitted she was an assassin. She admitted she was sent here on a mission. And then she threatened me and walked out like she owned the world. Still nothing. Are you going to say anything? Jae frustration boiled over. Your wife is a trained killer. She's here to hurt you. And you're just sitting there drinking whiskey like I'm telling you about the weather. Min Jae set down his glass. Are you done? And no, I'm not done. I'm trying to save your life and you're not even. I know. Jaewon stopped mid-sentence. What? I know Diana is an assassin. Min Jae's voice was calm and measured. I know she was sent here to extract information from me and eliminate me. I've known since before I married her. The silence that followed was deafening. Jaewon's mouth opened, then closed. Then it opened again. You knew. Of course I knew. Min Jae picked up his whiskey again. I run the largest intelligence network in Seoul. Did you really think a woman could get close to me without being thoroughly investigated? Then why? Jaewon's voice cracked. Why did you marry her? Min Jae knew the whole time. He knew Diana was an assassin before he married her. What is going on? What is his game? Drop a exploding head in the comments if your brain just broke. I need to see your reactions. And beautiful people, if you're new here and you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to the channel. We post new chapters regularly, and subscribing makes sure you never miss an update. Plus, it's completely free and it supports a small creator, me. Thank you. Now let's find out why Min Jae married an assassin who's supposed to kill him. Min Jae was quiet for a moment, staring into his glass like it held all the answers in the universe. Do you remember, he said slowly, the night I almost died? Some years ago. Jaewon's confusion deepened. What does that have to do with? It was raining. I was little back then. Some of my father's enemies had found me, and they were going to kill me. I was alone, injured, hiding in an alley. Min Jae looked up, and there was something in his eyes that Jaewon had never seen before. Vulnerability. A little girl found me. She should have run away, should have been terrified of the bloody boy hiding in the darkness. But she didn't run. She helped me. She bandaged my wounds with her own clothes. She stayed with me until help came. Min Jae. I bit her. Min Jae's voice was soft. I was having a seizure. She gave me her wrist to bite so that I don't cut off my tongue while I was grinding my teeth together. I left a mark, a scar shaped like a heart. Jaewon's breath caught. Diana has a scar on her wrist, he whispered. Shaped like a heart. She's the girl who saved my life. Min Jae's eyes were distant, lost in memory. I've been looking for her since that incident. And then she walked into that gala, stumbling and beautiful and completely unaware that she had changed the entire trajectory of my existence. But she's here to kill you. She doesn't remember. Min Jae cut him off. She was too young. The memory is buried somewhere in her mind, but she doesn't consciously remember that night. She doesn't know she saved me. She doesn't know that she's the reason I'm alive. Jaewon sat back, his mind reeling. So what's your plan? Just let her try to assassinate you and hope she remembers before she succeeds. Min Jae chuckled, like this was amusing. Diana won't hurt me. I am playing a heart game with her, and she is falling without even knowing. Whatever mission she was sent here for, she's already failing it. And if you're wrong, then I die by the hand of the woman I love. Min Jae shrugged. There are worse ways to go. You're insane. Possibly. You all, the layers in this story. Min Jae has known everything from the beginning. Diana saved his life when they were children, and she doesn't even remember. He's been looking for her for years. This is giving soulmates. This is giving fate. This is giving destines. Drop a loudly crying face in the comments if this backstory is making you emotional. And if you're crying right now, you better hit that like button through your tears. Let's get this video to 100 likes. Also, I really need your help, beautiful people. This channel has been struggling lately, and your engagement makes all the difference. If you could take 2 seconds to drop a comment, even just an emoji, it tells YouTube that this content is worth sharing. Please help me out. Now, let's continue with more revelations. Min Jae slid a document across the table. But I'm not stupid. I've been investigating Diana's past, her real past. And I found things that even she doesn't know. Jaewon looked at the document. What kind of things? Her mother didn't die naturally. She was murdered. And the people responsible are closer to Diana than she realizes. Her family, her stepmother, and her father. They orchestrated everything, the death, the cover-up, the theft of her inheritance. Min Jae's expression hardened. Diana has been living with her mother's killers for years. And she has no idea. So tell her. I can't. Min Jae shook his head. If I reveal what I know, she'll realize I've been investigating her. She'll know that I know about her mission. And she'll run. Then what? I'm going to give her the truth anonymously. Breadcrumbs that will lead her to discover everything on her own. Min Jae tapped the document. And I need your help. Jae-won read through the document slowly, his expression shifting from suspicion to shock to something like grudging admiration. This is thorough. I've been working on it for months. And you want me to help deliver this information to her? Among other things. Min Jae leaned forward. I need you to treat Diana like family. No more suspicious glances. No more trying to expose her. She's your sister-in-law now, and I need her to feel safe. You're asking me to pretend I don't know she's an assassin. I'm asking you to see her as the woman who saved my life. Min Jae's voice was firm. Because that's who she really is, underneath all the training and the missions and the walls she's built. That scared little girl who helped a bleeding boy in the rain, she's still in there. I've seen her. Jae-won was quiet for a long moment. Then he sighed heavily. Fine. Fine. He rubbed his face with both hands. I'll do it. But not for you, for the girl who saved your life. She deserves to know the truth about her mother. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This plan is insane and probably going to blow up in everyone's faces. Jae-won paused. One more thing. What? Can I at least give her a gift? As a peace offering? Since I've been kind of a jerk. Min Jae's lips twitched. What kind of gift? I don't know. Something nice. What do assassin women like? Knives? Poison? A nice cardigan. For the first time in the conversation, Min Jae laughed, a real, genuine laugh. Get her shoes. She likes shoes. Shoes it is. Jae-won is going to buy Diana shoes. After trying to expose her, now he wants to get her a gift. This man went from she's dangerous to what kind of shoes do assassins like in one conversation. I can't with these characters. Drop a face with tears of joy if Jae-won's switch up is sending you. And beautiful people, we're getting to the really good part of this chapter, so please stay until the end. But first, if you're enjoying this story, do me a huge favor, scroll down and drop a comment. Tell me your favorite character. Tell me your predictions. Tell me if you think Diana will find out about her mother. The comments really help push this video out to more viewers. Now, let's see what's happening with Diana back at the villa. Back at the villa, Diana was a mess. She had been pacing the master suite for hours, wearing a path in the expensive carpet, running through every possible scenario in her head. Min Jae read the message. He knows something is wrong. Should I run? Should I stay? Should I? Though Diana had been confident earlier to Jae-won, but deep down she was worried. But the last thing she wanted was for Jae-won to use the situation against her. So she had to act brave. The sound of the front door opening made her freeze. Footsteps. Coming up the stairs. Approaching the bedroom. Diana dove into bed and closed her eyes. She was pretending to be asleep. The bedroom door opened. She kept her breathing slow and even, her body perfectly still, her face the picture of peaceful slumber. She heard Min Jae's footsteps cross the room. Felt the mattress dip slightly as he sat on the edge of the bed. Sensed him leaning over her. And then she felt his lips press gently against her forehead. Her heart did something stupid and fluttery that she firmly ignored. You know, Min Jae murmured, his voice low and amused, for someone who's asleep, your breathing is very controlled. Damn it. In fact, he continued, his breath warm against her ear, since you're so deeply asleep, you won't notice if I steal a kiss from your lips. Diana's eyes flew open. I'm awake. I'm awake. I'm very much awake. She tried to scramble backward, but Min Jae was faster. His hands caught her wrists, and suddenly she was pinned beneath him, her back pressed against the mattress, his body hovering over hers. Done pretending? His eyes sparkled with amusement. Diana's face was on fire. I wasn't pretending. I was resting my eyes. I was. Your resting eyes just happened to be monitoring my movements with military precision? I'm a light sleeper. Min Jae laughed, that low, warm sound that made Diana's stomach do somersaults. You're a terrible liar, my pet. The way Min Jae caught Diana pretending to be asleep. I'm a light sleeper. Girl, he's not buying it. Face with tears of joy. Drop a skull in the comments if Diana's excuses are killing you. And if you're laughing right now, show some love and hit that like button. Now things are about to get spicy, so don't you dare click away. Min Jae released one of her wrists to brush a strand of hair from her face. Don't worry. I'm not going to ask where you went today. Diana blinked. You're not. You have your secrets. I respect that. His thumb traced along her cheekbone. I trust you. He trusts me. The words hit Diana like a punch to the gut. Here she was, married to this man under false pretenses, working for people who wanted him dead, and he was looking at her with eyes full of trust and something deeper. Something that looked terrifyingly like love. Min Jae, But he cut her off, his expression shifting to playful. Since you're now awake, I believe you owe your husband a welcome home kiss. We're not really husband and wife. We're legally married. It's a business arrangement. Paperwork says otherwise. That doesn't mean. One kiss. Min Jae's voice dropped to a husky murmur. Just one. On my cheek. Is that so much to ask? Diana's resistance was crumbling and she hated it. Fine. She huffed. One kiss. On the cheek. And then you let me go. Deal. She leaned up, aiming for his left cheek. And Min Jae turned his head at the last second. Her lips landed directly on his. He tricked her. The same trick twice. Diana was trying to give him a cheek kiss and he moved. Now they're kissing again. Drop a kiss mark in the comments. And beautiful people, this chapter is getting intense. If you're invested in Diana and Min Jae's relationship, type Minana in the comments. I want to see how many of you ship them. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see how this relationship develops. Now let's continue because it's about to get even more intense. Diana's eyes went wide with shock. She tried to pull back, tried to push him away, but Min Jae wasn't having it. His hand came up to cup the back of her head, holding her in place as his lips moved against hers with devastating expertise. This wasn't like the accidental kiss in the limousine. This was intentional and deliberate. Diana struggled for approximately 3 seconds before her traitorous body decided that struggling was stupid and kissing him back was much more interesting. Her eyes fluttered closed. Her hands, which had been pushing against his chest, instead fisted in his shirt. A small sound escaped her throat, something between a protest and a whimper. Min Jae took that as encouragement. He deepened the kiss, his tongue tracing the seam of her lips until she opened for him. Diana's mind went completely blank. Every trained instinct, every cautious thought, every warning bell, all of it disappeared into white noise. There was only this. Only him. Only the heat building between them. When Min Jae finally broke the kiss, they were both breathing hard. But he didn't stop. His lips trailed down her jaw. Her neck. Found that sensitive spot where her shoulder met her throat and lingered there. Diana bit her lip so hard she nearly drew blood. Min Jae. He was busy kissing along her collarbone now. We should stop. Should we? His lips moved lower. To the neckline of her shirt. To the valley between her. Oh God. The sound that escaped Diana was not dignified. It was not the sound a trained assassin should make. It was the sound of a woman completely losing her composure. She slapped her hand over her mouth, mortified. Min Jae lifted his head, and the look in his eyes was absolutely wicked. Was that a moan? No. It sounded like a moan. It was a cough. A throat-clearing cough. That was the least convincing lie you've told yet. Diana wanted to die. It was a throat-clearing cough, Diana, please. Loudly crying face with tears of joy, she is not fooling anybody. Drop a loudly crying face in the comments if you're screaming. This scene is giving everything it was supposed to give. And beautiful people, if this story is making you feel things, please share it. Send this video to your best friend. Post it on Twitter. Put it on your Instagram story. Help me reach more people who would love this story. I really appreciate every single share. Now let's see what Min Jae does next. And then, just when Diana thought she might actually combust from a combination of arousal and embarrassment, Min Jae stopped. He pulled back and sat up. He looked down at her with an expression that was somehow both heated and gentle. "When you're ready," he said, his voice rough. "We'll continue." Diana gaped at him. "What?" "I'm not going to take anything you're not willing to give." He reached out and patted her head, like she was a puppy who had just done a trick. "Get some rest. You have a competition tomorrow." And then he stood up and walked to the bathroom like he hadn't just turned her entire world inside out. Diana lay there, staring at the ceiling, her lips swollen and her heart racing and her brain completely broken. What just happened? What is this man? Why did he stop? Why am I disappointed that he stopped? What is wrong with me? Min Jae took Diana to cloud 9 and then just stopped and patted her head. Patted her head. After all that, this man is either the most respectful gentleman or the most evil tease in existence. Maybe both. Drop a if Min Jae has you melting. And drop a face with team from nose if you're frustrated that he stopped. Beautiful people, I need to ask you something. How are you liking this story? I put so much work into these chapters, and your feedback means everything. Please take a second to comment and let me know what's your favorite part so far. What do you want to see happen next? I read every comment. Now, let's jump to the next morning because things are about to get dark. Morning came too quickly. Diana had barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she relived that kiss. Those hands. That mouth. And then the head pat that had made her want to simultaneously melt and commit violence. She checked her phone while getting ready and froze. A message. From an unknown number. "I know who killed your mother. If you want to know, meet me at this address." Diana read the message 3 times. Her mother's death. She had been told it was natural. An illness. A tragedy, but not a crime. Who is this person? What did they know? Her phone buzzed with another message, this time from Yuna. "Good morning, wifey smirking face. How was your wedding night? Did you eat the forbidden fruit?" Red apple eyes. Diana groaned. "Yuna." "What?" "I'm asking important best friend questions. We didn't do anything." "Lies. I can feel you blushing through the phone." "We kissed. That's all." "That's all," she says. Like kissing a Mafia lord is casual. Like that's a normal Tuesday activity. "I hate you. You love me 2 hearts anyway. Are you ready for the competition? Has Nari tried anything crazy?" Diana actually paused to think about it. Nari had been suspiciously quiet. No sabotage attempts. No cruel comments. No schemes. Nothing yet. Maybe she's learned her lesson. I don't trust it. Keep your guard up. I will. See you at the competition? Obviously. Someone has to cheer you on. Good luck, bestie. Go win. Trophy. Diana smiled despite everything. Yuna's chaotic energy was exactly what she needed. But then her eyes drifted back to that other message. "I know who killed your mother." She should ignore it. She had a competition to focus on. This was probably a trap or a scam or... Her phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. This time it was a photo. A photo of her mother. In a hospital bed. Looking frail and sick, but also looking at the camera with fear in her eyes. Diana's blood ran cold. That wasn't the face of a woman dying of natural causes. That was the face of a woman who was afraid. Someone is sending Diana information about her mother's death. And that photo, her mother looked scared in that hospital bed. What really happened? Who is behind this? Drop a anxious face with sweat in the comments if you're worried. And type justice for Diana's mom if you want to see the truth come out. Beautiful people, we're getting close to the end of this chapter, and it ends with a massive cliffhanger. Please stay until the end. You do not want to miss this. Also, quick reminder, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe now. We're trying to reach 1K subscribers, and every single subscription helps. Thank you so much for your support. Now, let's continue. Diana made a decision. She got dressed quickly, competition appropriate, but also practical for potential combat situations. She grabbed her portfolio with her designs. And she headed downstairs. Min Jae was waiting at the dining table, looking unfairly handsome for someone who had probably slept as little as she had. "Good morning, wife." His smile was warm. "Come sit." He patted his lap. Diana's face immediately flushed. I can't. I'm in a hurry." Min Jae's eyes narrowed slightly, not with suspicion but with perception. He could tell something was different. Something was urgent. But he didn't push. "Be careful today," he said simply, standing up to approach her. "I will." He kissed her forehead, soft, gentle, so different from last night's intensity. "Win." "I'll try." "Don't try." "Win." He smiled. "I have faith in you." Diana's chest ached with something she didn't want to name. She nodded and left before she could do something stupid like cry or confess or kiss him properly. She had a mystery to solve and a competition to win. Simple. The way Min Jae said, "I have faith in you," is making me soft. This man really believes in Diana with his whole heart, even though she's technically supposed to kill him. Drop a 2 hearts if their relationship is giving you butterflies. And drop a broken heart if you're scared about what's going to happen. Now, beautiful people, here comes the twist. Brace yourselves. The address from the mysterious message led to an industrial district on the outskirts of Seoul. Diana parked Min Jae's car, a sleek black Mercedes that was probably worth more than her childhood home, and approached the abandoned warehouse with all her senses on high alert. This was obviously a trap. She knew it was a trap. Every instinct screamed trap. But whoever had sent that photo knew something about her mother's death. And Diana needed to know the truth, even if she had to walk into danger to get it. She pushed open the warehouse door, her body tense and ready for combat. "Hello," she called out, her voice echoing in the empty space. "I'm here. Come out." For a moment, there was only silence. And then, laughter. Familiar laughter. Maniacal, high-pitched, cruel laughter that Diana had heard 1,000 times throughout her childhood. Mrs. Jang stepped out of the shadows. "Hello, Diana," her stepmother said, her perfectly made-up face twisted with triumph. "Thank you for coming." Diana's blood turned to ice. You sent those messages?" "Of course I did." Mrs. Jang smiled, and it was the smile of a predator who had finally cornered her prey. "I knew you wouldn't be able to resist the truth about your precious mother. What do you know about my mother's death?" "Oh, Diana." Mrs. Jang laughed again. "I don't know anything. I know the only way to bring you here is if I bring up your mother's case." The world tilted. Diana heard the footsteps behind her too late. Something hard connected with the back of her skull. Pain exploded through her head. Her knees buckled. The last thing she heard before darkness claimed her was Mrs. Jang's voice, dripping with satisfaction. "My daughter will win the competition with your designs. Again. And this time, there won't be any backup plans to save you." And then everything went black. To be continued. Mrs. Jang kidnapped Diana. She's been the one behind everything. Diana is unconscious. Nari is going to steal her designs again. And the competition is happening right now. What's going to happen? How will Diana escape? Will someone realize she's missing? Will Min Jae finally unleash his Mafia wrath on the Jang family? Drop your predictions in the comments. Fire equals you think Diana will fight her way out. Face screaming in fear equals you think Min Jae will come to the rescue. Skull equals you think Yuna will notice Diana is missing. Exploding head equals your brain is broken from this cliffhanger. Beautiful people, that's the end of Part 5, Chapter 1. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, here's how you can support this channel. 1. Hit that like button, it takes 1 second and it helps so much. 2. Subscribe if you haven't already and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a chapter. 3. Drop a comment with your reaction. I want to hear your theories. 4. Share this video with a friend who loves drama and romance. Send it to your group chat. Post it on your social media. Your support is what keeps this channel going. I put so much love and effort into these stories, and every like, comment, and share makes a huge difference. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Part 5 Chapter 2 is coming soon. Diana is kidnapped, the competition is happening, and Min Jae doesn't know his wife is in danger. Things are about to get crazy. See you in the next chapter, beautiful people. Love you all. Chapter 2, The Sins of the Father. Welcome back, beautiful people. Last chapter ended with Diana getting kidnapped by her stepmother. Mrs. Jang knocked her out and took her portfolio to help Nari cheat at the competition again. But here's the thing about Diana, she's not the helpless victim everyone thinks she is. Let's see what happens when she wakes up. Consciousness returned slowly, like swimming up through murky water. Diana's head throbbed. Her vision was blurry. The back of her skull pulsed with pain where someone had struck her. She kept her eyes closed for a moment, using her other senses to assess the situation. Cold concrete floor. No restraints on wrists or ankles. Wait. No restraints? Diana almost laughed. Mrs. Jang had knocked her out, dragged her to an abandoned warehouse, and hadn't even bothered to tie her up? She thinks I'm weak, Diana realized. She's spent years watching me play the helpless victim, and she actually believes it. This was going to be fun. Diana opened her eyes slowly, letting herself look disoriented and confused, which wasn't entirely an act, given the pounding in her head. Mrs. Jang sat on a rusty metal chair about 10 feet away, her designer dress looking absurdly out of place in the grimy warehouse. She was checking her manicure like she was waiting for a spa appointment, not guarding a kidnapping victim. "Oh, you're finally awake." Mrs. Jang's voice dripped with condescension. "I was starting to think my men hit you too hard." Diana pushed herself into a sitting position, wincing dramatically. "Stepmother." She made her voice small, and it sounded frightened. "What's happening? Why am I here? Don't play dumb with me." Mrs. Jang stood, smoothing her dress. "You've been a thorn in my side for 20 years. First your mother, stealing my man. Then you, constantly reminding everyone of her existence. I don't understand." "Of course you don't understand. You've never understood anything." Mrs. Jang walked closer, her heels clicking against the concrete. "But it doesn't matter now. By the time anyone finds you, my daughter will have won the competition with your designs, and you'll be nothing but a footnote." Diana let tears well up in her eyes, a skill she had perfected long ago. "The message you sent, about my mother's death." Her voice cracked convincingly. "Do you really know something? Please, I just want to know the truth about my mother." Something flickered in Mrs. Jang's eyes. Annoyance. Your mother, your mother, your mother." She grabbed Diana's chin roughly, forcing her to look up. "She came between me and the love of my life. Why am I even wasting my energy to explain anything to you? So you do know something about her death?" "I know she's dead, and that's all that matters." Mrs. Jang's composure cracked. "I don't know anything about how she died. I just said that to lure you here, you stupid girl." Diana filed that information away. So Mrs. Jang hadn't killed her mother. She was just a jealous opportunist who had used the mystery as bait. Now, Mrs. Jang continued, releasing Diana's chin and stepping back. "Since we have some time before the competition ends, I think I'll enjoy myself a little." She picked up something from the floor. A whip. An actual leather whip. "You see, Diana, I've wanted to do this for years." Mrs. Jang's smile was cruel. "Every time you looked at me with those innocent eyes. Every time you made my daughter look bad by comparison. Every time your father mentioned your precious mother. I've wanted to beat that pathetic expression off your face." The first strike came without warning. Crack. Diana cried out as the leather bit into her arm. The pain was sharp, immediate, blinding. "That's for existing." Crack. "That's for being born." Crack. "That's for making my daughter feel inferior." Diana curled into herself, sobbing, pleading for Mrs. Jang to stop. Tears streamed down her face. Her body shook with each strike. Diana had already activated her mini camera, and everything Mrs. Jang was doing to her was captured. She had checked her tracking watch when she first woke up. She had exactly 30 minutes before the competition began. She wanted to get enough evidence to deal with Mrs. Jang later. She had endured far worse. "Please." Diana whimpered, "Please stop, it hurts." "Good." Mrs. Jang was breathing heavily from exertion. "It's supposed to hurt." Crack. "Now you understand that you're nothing. You've always been nothing. And after today, everyone will know it." Mrs. Jang finally lowered the whip, satisfaction gleaming in her eyes. "Look at you. Pathetic. Crying on the floor like the worthless girl you are." She laughed. "My daughter is going to win that competition. She's going to become a famous designer. And you? You're going to rot in this warehouse until I decide what to do with you." Diana remained curled on the floor, her body shaking with apparent sobs. And then slowly she smiled. "You all, Mrs. Jang just whipped Diana thinking she was breaking her. But Diana has been playing possum this whole time. The assassin is about to come out. Drop a smiling face with horns in the comments if you're ready for Diana to show her true self. And if you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. Now, let's see what happens next. Mrs. Jang didn't see the smile at first. She was too busy admiring her handiwork, congratulating herself on finally putting Diana in her place. But then Diana moved. She stood up. Not shakily or weakly. Not like someone who had just been beaten with a whip. She stood up smoothly and gracefully. Like a predator uncoiling from rest. Mrs. Jang's self-satisfied expression flickered. What are you? Sit back down. I didn't give you permission to. Permission? Diana's voice was different now. The tremble was gone. The innocence was gone. What remained was cold, hard steel. I don't need your permission for anything. She turned to face her stepmother, and Mrs. Jang actually stepped backward. Because the woman looking at her wasn't the Diana she knew. This Diana had eyes like ice. This Diana stood like a soldier. This Diana radiated danger in a way that made every survival instinct in Mrs. Jang's body scream run. What are you? You made a mistake, stepmother. Diana rolled her shoulders, loosening muscles that had been deliberately held tense. Several mistakes, actually. First, you didn't tie me up. Second, you brought amateur thugs instead of real security. Third, Diana smiled, and there was nothing warm about it. You thought I was weak. Guards. Mrs. Jang screamed. Guards, get in here. The three men rushed in large, muscular, clearly hired for intimidation rather than skill. They took in the scene, their employer backing away from a young woman who looked like she should be modeling for fashion magazines. They laughed. This little girl is giving you trouble, ma'am? The largest one cracked his knuckles. Don't worry. We'll put her back in her place. He reached for Diana. His hand never made contact. In one fluid motion, Diana grabbed his wrist, twisted, and pulled. The sound of bones snapping echoed through the warehouse, followed immediately by his scream. She didn't stop there. Before the other two could react, Diana was moving. Her elbow connected with the second man's solar plexus, doubling him over. Her knee came up to meet his face. Blood sprayed as his nose shattered. The third man tried to run. Diana caught him in 3 steps. She swept his legs out from under him, and, before he hit the ground, her foot was on his throat. Stay down, she said calmly, or I'll crush your windpipe. He stayed down. The entire fight had taken less than 15 seconds. Mrs. Jang stood frozen, her face white with terror, her designer heels rooted to the concrete floor. What are you? Diana stepped over the groaning bodies and approached her stepmother with measured steps. I'm the girl you've been tormenting for 20 years. Diana's voice was conversational, almost pleasant. I'm the girl you thought was weak and pathetic and easy to control. I'm the girl who has been pretending to be all those things while you and your daughter made my life miserable. She stopped directly in front of Mrs. Jang, close enough to see the woman's pulse hammering in her throat. But mostly, I'm the girl who's about to ruin your daughter's life. Again. Mrs. Jang's survival instincts finally kicked in. She ran. Diana let her. She watched her stepmother sprint toward the warehouse exit, stumbling in her expensive heels, her designer dress getting dirty as she scrambled through the dust and debris. Diana walked calmly to her car. The portfolio was gone. Nari had it, as expected. That was fine. Diana had planned for this. She got into the Mercedes, started the engine, and pulled out of the warehouse lot. Mrs. Jang was running down the industrial road, looking over her shoulder with wild eyes, her makeup smeared with sweat and tears. Diana followed slowly and leisurely, like a cat playing with a mouse. Every time Mrs. Jang slowed down, Diana would rev the engine. Every time she tried to hide, Diana would find her. Every time she thought she had escaped, the black Mercedes would appear in her peripheral vision. It took about 15 minutes for Mrs. Jang to collapse. She fell face first onto the dirty road, her body finally giving out, her lungs burning, her legs refusing to carry her another step. Diana drove past her without stopping. She had a competition to attend. Diana just beat 3 men in 15 seconds and then chased her stepmother until she collapsed. The way Mrs. Jang's face must have looked when Diana stood up. What are you? Baby, she's your worst nightmare. Drop a fire if Diana's fighting skills gave you chills. Now, let's see what happens at the competition. The Seoul Fashion Design Competition was being held at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, a glittering venue filled with industry professionals, media representatives, and eager spectators. Diana arrived with 5 minutes to spare. She had cleaned up in the car as best she could, wiping the dust from her clothes, fixing her hair, making sure the whip marks on her arms were visible but not bleeding. She wanted people to see what had been done to her. The security guard at the entrance did a double-take when he saw her. "Miss Jang? We thought you weren't coming. Your sister is already presenting." "I'm not too late, am I?" Diana made her voice breathless, worried. "I was delayed." The guard's eyes dropped to the marks on her arms. His expression shifted from confusion to concern. "Ma'am, are you all right?" "Those look like." "I'm fine." Diana gave him a brave smile. "I just need to get inside. Please." He let her through without another word. The main competition hall was packed. Cameras flashed. Journalists murmured into recorders. Industry executives sat in the front row, their expressions carefully neutral as they evaluated each presentation. And on the stage, looking like a cat who had gotten the cream, was Nari. "My collection represents the fusion of traditional Korean aesthetics with modern sustainable practices," Nari was saying, her voice smooth and confident. "Each piece tells a story of heritage meeting innovation." Diana walked in. She didn't make a scene. She didn't announce herself. She simply walked down the center aisle and took a seat in the front row, right next to Yuna. Yuna's head whipped around, her eyes going wide. "Diana, where have you? What happened to your arms? Are those whip marks?" "Shoo." Diana patted her friend's hand. "Watch the show." On stage, Nari was frozen mid-sentence. Her eyes had found Diana in the audience, and all the color had drained from her face. Diana smiled at her sweetly and innocently. Nari swallowed hard and tried to continue her presentation. The fabric choices reflect, they represent, the sustainable. She was sweating. Her hands were shaking. Her carefully prepared speech was falling apart as she stared at the woman who should have been tied up in a warehouse. Diana just sat there, watching, her expression pleasant and attentive. It was psychological warfare, and Diana was a master. These designs are. Nari fumbled with her remote control. "Let me show you the inspiration board." She clicked the button to activate the projector. And the screen behind her lit up with something that was definitely not an inspiration board. It was a video of Mrs. Jang beating Diana with a whip. Diana hacked the projector. She replaced Nari's presentation with video evidence of what Mrs. Jang did to her. Everyone is watching Nari's mother beat Diana with a whip. The genius of this woman. She edited the video to remove her fighting back, so all anyone sees is poor, innocent Diana being tortured. Drop a exploding head in the comments if Diana's revenge is giving you life. And beautiful people, if you're enjoying this story, please subscribe to the channel. We're trying to reach our subscriber goal, and every single subscription helps. Thank you. Now, let's see the aftermath. The video played for everyone to see. Mrs. Jang's cruel laughter. The sound of the whip cracking. Diana's cries of pain. And most damning of all, Mrs. Jang's own words. "My daughter is going to win that competition with your designs. You're going to rot in this warehouse. You've always been nothing." The conference hall erupted into chaos. Journalists were shouting questions. Cameras were flashing nonstop. The audience was murmuring in shock and outrage. The judges looked like they had swallowed something sour. And Nari, poor, stupid, arrogant Nari, stood frozen on the stage, her stolen presentation forgotten, her mother's crimes playing on a loop behind her. That's not I didn't." Nari's voice was barely audible over the commotion. "I don't know anything about this. I didn't know my mother. Didn't know." Someone in the audience shouted. "Your mother literally said she did it for you. Those designs she's presenting are stolen. Call the police. This whole family is corrupt." Diana sat quietly in her seat, letting the chaos wash over her. Yuna had grabbed her hand and was squeezing it tightly, tears streaming down her face. Diana. Diana, I'm so sorry. I didn't know if I had known. It's okay. Diana leaned into her friend slightly. It's over now. Mr. Jang pushed through the crowd, his face cycling through colors red with embarrassment, white with shock, green with nausea. When he reached the front of the room, he did something no one expected. He walked up onto the stage. And he slapped Nari across the face. Hard. The sound echoed through the suddenly silent hall. Nari's head snapped to the side. Her hand flew to her cheek. Tears spilled from her eyes as she stared at her father in disbelief. Father. You stupid girl. Mr. Jang's voice shook with rage. Do you have any idea what you've done? Or what your mother has done? Our family is ruined. I didn't know, I swear I didn't know she would. Silence. It was the first time in Nari's entire life that her father had raised his hand to her. The first time he had looked at her with anything other than adoration. Diana almost felt sorry for her. Almost. The police arrived within minutes. Someone had already called them. They pushed through the crowd, their faces grim and professional. Nari Jang, the lead officer, approached the stage. You're under arrest for theft of intellectual property, conspiracy to commit assault, and kidnapping. You have the right to remain silent. Kidnapping? Nari's voice rose to a shriek. I didn't kidnap anyone. My mother gave me the designs, I didn't know. Ma'am, please come with us quietly. Nari's legs gave out. She fainted right there on the stage, crumpling like a puppet with cut strings. The officers looked at each other, clearly wondering how to proceed with an unconscious suspect. But before they could decide, someone else pushed through the crowd. Yuna. Diana's best friend walked up onto the stage, her face set with determination, her eyes blazing with righteous fury. She looked down at Nari's unconscious form. She drew her hand back, and she delivered a slap so powerful it echoed through the hall. Crack. Nari's eyes flew open with a gasp. Wake up, you pathetic excuse for a human being. Yuna stood over her, trembling with rage. You don't get to faint and escape consequences. You don't get to play the victim. You stole from my best friend. Your mother tortured my best friend. And you're going to face every single consequence with your eyes open. The police officers exchanged glances, but didn't interfere. Even they seemed to feel that Nari deserved that slap. They hauled Nari to her feet and led her out of the hall, her expensive dress dragging on the floor, her perfect makeup ruined by tears and humiliation. The media followed like sharks following blood in the water. Diana watched her stepsister disappear through the doors, feeling nothing. This wasn't about revenge. This was about justice. And justice had been served. Yuna slapped Nari awake. She said, you don't get to play the victim. I'm screaming. That's best friend goals right there. Drop a clapping hands in the comments for Yuna. She really said, not on my watch. Now let's see what happens next, because the competition still needs a winner. With Nari disqualified and removed, the competition continued. Diana took the stage. She looked small up there. Her arms were marked with welts, her eyes were red from crying, her clothes were dusty and disheveled. She looked like exactly what she was, a victim who had somehow found the strength to show up anyway. The audience fell silent out of respect. I apologize for my appearance, Diana said softly, her voice carrying through the microphone. As you can see, my morning was difficult. A ripple of sympathetic murmurs ran through the crowd. My designs were stolen. This is the third time my stepsister has tried to present my work as her own. The first time, I was called a fraud and blacklisted from the industry. This time, Diana paused, gathering herself. This time, I refused to let them win. She clicked the remote, and her real designs appeared on the screen, designs she had backed up to the cloud, designs that couldn't be stolen because they existed in multiple secure locations. Her collection was called Resilience. It featured garments inspired by survivors, women who had faced adversity and emerged stronger. Each piece told a story of pain transformed into beauty, of weakness becoming strength. By the time she finished her presentation, half the audience was in tears. The judges deliberated for exactly 3 minutes. Diana won. First place. Unanimous decision. Standing ovation. Yuna rushed the stage and threw her arms around Diana, sobbing into her shoulder. You did it. You actually did it. I'm so proud of you. I'm so sorry you had to go through all of that. I should have been there. I should have. Yuna. Diana held her friend tightly. You're here now. That's all that matters. The media swarmed them with questions. Cameras flashed from every direction. The story was already going viral. The abused stepdaughter who overcame kidnapping and torture to win the design competition her sister tried to steal. It was the kind of story that wrote itself. Diana answered questions with quiet dignity, playing her role to perfection. Yes, she was hurt, but healing. Yes, she forgave her sister because holding on to anger only hurt yourself. Yes, she hoped this would inspire other victims to speak up. She was the perfect victim. The perfect survivor. Through all the chaos, Diana noticed something. Her phone had buzzed multiple times during the presentation. She had ignored it, focused on the task at hand. But now, as the crowd began to disperse and the energy settled, she finally checked her messages. What she saw made her blood run cold. A document. From an unknown number. And the contents changed everything she thought she knew about her life. Mr. Jang approached her as the venue emptied. He looked like he had aged 10 years in the past hour. His shoulders were slumped, his face was gray, his eyes couldn't meet hers. Diana. His voice was barely a whisper. I need to apologize. For everything. For how I've treated you. For how I let my wife and daughter treat you. For Father. Diana's voice was calm and controlled. I think we need to talk. In private. Yes. Yes, of course. Whatever you want. Let's go back to the mansion. There are some things I need to ask you. Mr. Jang nodded weakly, relieved that she was even willing to speak to him. He had no idea what was coming. The Jang mansion felt different when Diana walked through the doors. For 20 years, this place had been her prison. The site of countless humiliations, endless cruelties, daily reminders that she was unwanted and unloved. But today she was walking in as the owner. She just didn't know it yet. Yuna had insisted on coming. I'm not leaving you alone with that man after everything that's happened, and Diana was grateful for her presence. She needed a witness for what was about to happen. But when they entered the formal sitting room, they found someone unexpected already waiting. A lawyer. Middle-aged, wearing a crisp suit, clutching a briefcase like his life depended on it. He looked nervous. Terrified, actually. Mr. Jang frowned. Who let you in here? I received a message, sir. The message said I should come here. It says it was time. Time for what? The lawyer's eyes found Diana. Something that looked like guilt and relief flickered across his face. Time for the truth. A lawyer just showed up at the mansion. Someone sent him. Someone who knows the truth about Diana's mother. Who could it be? Drop a thinking face in the comments with your theories. And beautiful people, we're getting to the biggest revelation of this chapter, so please stay until the end. Also, if you're enjoying this story, please share this video. Send it to your friends. Post it on social media. Your shares help this channel reach more people who would love this story. Now, let's find out what secrets Mr. Jang has been hiding. They sat in the formal sitting room, Diana, Yuna, Mr. Jang, and the nervous lawyer. Diana had read the document on her phone. She knew what it contained. But she wanted to hear it from her father's own mouth. Father, she said, her voice deceptively soft, is there anything you want to tell me about my mother's properties? Mr. Jang shifted uncomfortably. Your mother's properties? What do you mean? Her assets. Her inheritance. The things she left behind when she died. Diana, I've already told you. Mr. Jang's voice was strained but confident. Your mother's only significant property was the fashion company, which I've already transferred to you. Everything else. Was there anything else? No. Nothing significant. Just some personal items that were distributed according to her wishes. Father. Diana's voice hardened slightly. I'm going to ask you one more time. Is there anything you should tell me about my mother's estate? Mr. Jang's eyes darted to the lawyer, then back to Diana. I don't know what you're implying, but I've told you everything. Your mother was a simple woman. She didn't have. Diana pulled out her phone and handed it to him. Read. Mr. Jang took the phone with trembling hands. His eyes scanned the screen. And Diana watched as her father's face transformed. Red to white. White to gray. Gray to ashen. His hands shook so violently he almost dropped the phone. Where did you get this? His voice was barely audible. This can't be. It's all there, father. Diana's voice was icy. Every property my mother owned. Every company. Every investment. Every single asset that was supposed to come to me when I turned 20. She leaned forward. Including this mansion. Mr. Jang looked up at her with the eyes of a drowning man. Diana, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain how my mother, who you always said was just a simple woman, actually owned one of the largest real estate portfolios in Seoul? Can you explain how she founded not one company but 7, all of which mysteriously ended up in your name after her death? Diana's voice rose with each question. Can you explain how the lawyer sitting right there helped you forge documents to steal my inheritance? Can you explain how you've been living off my mother's money for 20 years while treating me like garbage? Mr. Jang fell to his knees. Like his legs had simply given out. Diana, please. I can explain. I was in debt. Terrible debt. When your mother died, I panicked. I didn't know how to. How did she die? The question cut through his stammering like a knife. What? My mother. How did she really die? Silence. Mr. Jang's face crumpled. She found out. Found out what? About my affair. With Nari's mother. Tears were streaming down his face now, ugly, gasping tears of a man who had been carrying guilt for 2 decades. We had been seeing each other for years. Your mother found evidence. Love letters. Hotel receipts. She confronted me and I didn't deny it. I told her I was going to leave her for the other woman. Diana's hands were shaking. She clasped them together to hide it. And then, she had a heart attack. Right there. In front of me. Mr. Jang's voice broke. The stress, the shock, the betrayal, her heart couldn't take it. She collapsed and I called the ambulance, but by the time they arrived, you killed her. It was an accident. I never meant for her to. You killed her. Diana stood, looking down at her father with disgust. You cheated on her. You broke her heart. You watched her die. And then you stole everything she had built and gave it to your mistress and your mistress's daughter. Diana, please listen to me. I lived in a closet. Diana's voice was rising now, cracking with emotion she couldn't contain. Your wife beat me and your daughter humiliated me and you did nothing. You let them treat me like less than human while you spent my mother's money on their comfort. I'm sorry. Sorry. Diana laughed, a bitter, broken sound. You're sorry. Do you have any idea what my life has been? I never believed in love because I never saw love. I built walls around my heart because everyone who was supposed to love me used me instead. My own father treated me like an inconvenience while living in my house and spending my money. Tears were falling down Diana's cheeks now. Real tears. Not performance tears. Just the tears of a girl who had finally learned the full extent of her family's betrayal. Yuna was crying too, her hands pressed over her mouth, her eyes full of rage and sorrow. The lawyer sat frozen, looking like he wanted to disappear. And Mr. Jang, the man who had raised her, ignored her, failed her in every possible way, knelt on the floor of a mansion that had never been his, sobbing like a child. Please, he begged. Please, Diana. I'll do anything. I'll give everything back. I'll turn myself in. You'll vacate this mansion immediately. Diana's voice was flat. You'll return every single asset that belongs to me. You'll cooperate fully with the lawyer to ensure the legal transfer of all properties. And you'll face whatever penalties the law determines for your crimes. Diana, you are not my father. She looked at him one last time, and there was nothing in her eyes but cold finality. You never were. She turned to the lawyer. Handle it. And make sure he pays for what he's done. The lawyer nodded rapidly. Yes, Miss Jang. Of course. I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you for years, but he threatened my family. I don't blame you. Diana's voice softened slightly. Just make it right now. She walked toward the door, Yuna following close behind. Behind her, she could hear her father's sobs. His pleas. His desperate attempts to call her back. She didn't turn around. The car ride to Min Jae's villa was silent. Yuna kept glancing at Diana with worried eyes, but she didn't know what to say. What could you say to someone who had just learned that her entire life had been built on lies? When they reached the point where their paths would separate, Yuna finally spoke. Diana, you shouldn't be alone right now. Let me come with you. Or you can come to my place. We can eat ice cream and cry and… I'm fine, Yuna. You're not fine. Nobody would be fine after. I need to be alone. Diana's voice was gentle but firm. I need to process everything. But I promise I'll call you tomorrow, okay? Yuna looked unconvinced, but she didn't push. Okay, but if you need anything… I know. Thank you for being here today. They hugged a long, tight embrace that said everything words couldn't. Then Diana drove away, leaving her best friend standing on the curb. She wasn't going home to cry. She wasn't going home to process. She was going home to complete her mission. When Diana arrived at Min Jae's villa, she found a message waiting for her. Emergency business in New York. We'll be gone for several days. Rest well, my pet. I'll call you when I land. Diana stared at the message. He was gone. The villa was empty. And the safe in his study, the safe that contained the documents her handler needed, was unguarded. It was almost too perfect. But Diana pushed those thoughts aside. She had a job to do. She had always had a job to do. And now, with her mother's fortune recovered and her revenge complete, there was nothing keeping her here. She would get the documents. She would deliver them to her handler. She would take her payment and disappear, start a new life somewhere far away from Seoul, far away from the Jang family, far away from Min Jae and the complicated feelings he stirred in her. It was the right thing to do. It was the only thing to do. So why did her chest ache at the thought of leaving? Diana waited until midnight. The villa staff had retired to their quarters. The security systems had been noted and mapped during her weeks of innocent exploration. She knew the patrol patterns, the camera blind spots, the access codes for every door. She moved through the darkened halls like a ghost. Min Jae's study was at the end of the East Wing, a luxurious room filled with books, artwork, and very expensive furniture. And in the corner, hidden behind a panel that most people would never notice, was a safe. Diana found it easily. The first fingerprint lock didn't work. She hadn't expected it to. Min Jae wasn't stupid enough to use simple biometric security. But Diana wasn't stupid either. She pulled out her equipment and began hacking. It was complex, multiple encryption layers, rotating codes, fail-safe mechanisms that would trigger if she made a wrong move. It took her 23 minutes to crack it. The safe swung open. Inside were documents, financial records, business contracts. And there, exactly where her handler said it would be, a folder marked with a symbol she recognized. She took it. She didn't read the contents. She didn't need to know what secrets Min Jae was keeping. She just needed to deliver the package and move on. She didn't need to be an assassin to feed well anymore. She had her mother's assets now, and she would manage it well. She closed the safe, reset the security, replaced the panel. And then she left the villa, disappearing into the night like she had never been there. Or so she thought. Her handler was pleased. The exchange happened outside the city, a predetermined location, a locker at a train station, anonymous and untraceable. Diana deposited the documents. Her handler's people retrieved them. Within hours, a massive payment appeared in her offshore account. Diana stared at the number on her phone screen. More money than she would ever need. Enough to start 100 new lives in 100 different countries. She typed a message to her handler. I don't need the money. This is my last operation. I'm out. The response came quickly. Understood. But first, I have something for you. A gift from your client. Diana frowned. That was unusual. Her handler had never sent her information about clients before. That was the whole point of handlers. They maintained anonymity between operatives and employers. What kind of gift? A photo. The client wanted you to know him. A photo attachment appeared. Diana's thumb hovered over it. Something felt wrong. Her instincts were screaming at her to ignore the message, to walk away, to start her new life without looking back. But curiosity won. She opened the photo, and her entire world stopped. The face staring back at her was one she knew intimately, one she had known her whole life, one she had just confronted hours ago, kneeling on the floor of a mansion built with stolen money. Her client, the person who had hired her to infiltrate Min Jae's life, steal his secrets, and ultimately destroy him, was her father, Mr. Jang. To be continued. Her father hired her to destroy Min Jae. Mr. Jang, the man who stole her mother's money, who let his wife and daughter abuse her, who just confessed to causing her mother's death, is the one who hired Diana for this mission. But why? What does Mr. Jang want from Min Jae? How long has he known Diana was an assassin? What is happening? Drop your theories in the comments. I need to hear what you think. Fire equals your brain is broken. Face screaming in fear equals you did not see this coming. Skull equals Mr. Jang is the worst father ever. Exploding head equals you need part 5 chapter 3 immediately. Beautiful people, that's the end of chapter 2. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please 1. Like this video, every like helps the algorithm. 2. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. 3. Comment your reactions and theories. 4. Share with friends who love drama. Chapter 3 is coming soon. Diana just learned her father is behind everything. What will she do? Will she confront him? Will she tell Min Jae? Will she complete the mission or abandon it? See you in the next chapter, beautiful people. Love you all. Chapter 3, Season Finale, Full Circle. Welcome back for the final time, beautiful people. This is it. The season finale. The moment we've all been waiting for. When we left off, Diana had just discovered that her own father was the client who hired her to destroy Min Jae. Her world is shattered. Her mission is compromised. And everything she thought she knew is about to be turned upside down one more time. This chapter is going to have revelations, confrontations. Will our girl get justice that she deserves? Let's find out. So grab your tissues, grab your snacks, and let's finish this story together. Diana's hands were shaking as she stared at her father's photo on her phone screen. He hired me. My own father hired me to destroy the man I love. Wait. Love? Did she just think that? Diana shook her head violently, trying to clear her thoughts. She didn't have time for emotional revelations right now. She needed answers. She called her handler. The number you are trying to reach is no longer in service. Blocked. Of course. She had resigned from the job. Her handler had no reason to maintain contact with a former operative. She tried her father's number. Ring. 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 Voicemail. Pick up. Diana screamed at her phone, calling again. And again, but still no one picked up the phone. Her phone buzzed with an incoming call. Min Jae. Diana stared at his name on her screen, her heart pounding. She couldn't talk to him right now. She couldn't face him knowing what she had done. She had stolen from him, betrayed him, handed his secrets to her father of all people. She rejected the call. Her fingers moved to block his number. She needed time to think, time to figure out what next to do. But before she could complete the action, a message appeared. Your father is with me. Come home. We need to talk. Diana's blood ran cold. What did that mean? Has Min Jae discovered the truth? Was her father being held captive? Was this a trap? It didn't matter. She was going. Diana booked the first flight back to Seoul. The 3-hour journey felt like an eternity. She couldn't eat nor sleep, but stared out the window and replayed every moment of the past few months in her head. Meeting Min Jae at the gala. The rescue from the Jang family dinner. The design competition. The proposal in the limousine. The accidental kiss. The marriage contract. The nights in his villa, feeling safer than she had ever felt in her life. And underneath it all, the mission. The lies. The betrayal she had been planning from the very beginning. I was supposed to destroy him, Diana thought. Instead, he destroyed every wall I ever built. When Diana arrived at Min Jae's villa, she found a scene she hadn't expected. The living room was full. Her father sat in one corner, looking pale and defeated. Mrs. Jang sat across from him, her usually perfect appearance disheveled, her eyes starting nervously. Jae-won stood by the window, his arms crossed, his expression thunderous. Yuna was perched on the edge of a sofa, her phone in her hand, clearly recording everything. And Min Jae sat in the center of it all, calm as a still lake, his dark eyes fixed on the door as she walked in. Diana. Yuna was the first to move, launching herself across the room and throwing her arms around Diana. Where have you been? You've been missing. I called you 100 times. I was so worried. Diana hugged her friend back automatically, but her eyes were locked on Min Jae. He hadn't moved nor spoken. Just watched her with that unreadable expression she could never quite decipher. Diana gently extracted herself from Yuna's embrace and walked directly to her father. Where is it? Mr. Jang blinked. What? The package. The documents I gave you. Where are they? Diana, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't. Diana's voice cracked like a whip. Don't play dumb with me. I am not in the mood. I know you hired me. I discovered you were the one that hired me. Now tell me where the package is so I can fix this. Mr. Jang's face contorted with confusion that looked almost genuine. Hired you for what? Client? Diana, I have no idea. Stop lying. He's not lying, Jae-won's cold voice cut through the room. He pushed off from the window and stalked toward Diana, his eyes blazing with anger. But you're lying about your innocence. Diana turned to face him. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the fact that you stole those documents. Jae-won jabbed a finger at her. You hacked into Min Jae's safe. You handed over information that cost him $1 billion contract. And now you're standing here pretending it was all a mistake. Diana's mouth opened, then closed. He knew. Of course he knew. Jae-won was a tech genius. He had probably discovered her hack within hours of her leaving. I can explain. Explain what? Jae-won's voice rose. Explain how you've been playing us all from the beginning? Explain how you used Min Jae's feelings for you to get close to him? Explain how you betrayed the man who has done nothing but protect you. Jae-won, Yuna stepped forward, her expression fierce. Diana would never betray anyone. I don't know what you think happened, but there has to be an explanation. The explanation is that your best friend is a trained assassin who was sent here to destroy Min Jae. Silence. Every eye in the room turned to Diana. She stood frozen, Jae-won's accusation ringing in her ears, unable to deny it. Because it was true. All of it was true. The truth is out. Jae-won just exposed Diana in front of everyone. Yuna is shocked. Mr. Jang is confused. And Min Jae is just sitting there, watching, not saying a word. What is he thinking? What is he going to do? Keep watching because you are not ready for what happens next. Diana waited for the explosion. For Min Jae to stand up, to yell, to call his guards, to have her dragged away in chains. Instead, he did something that shocked everyone in the room. He walked toward her slowly, his footsteps measured, his expression still unreadable. Diana braced herself for whatever was coming, a slap, a punch, words of hatred and betrayal. Min Jae stopped directly in front of her. And he kissed her forehead softly and gently. The same way he always did. Welcome home, my pet, he murmured against her skin. Jae-won made a sound of pure frustration. Are you serious right now? He threw his hands up. She betrayed you. She stole from you. She's been lying to you since the day you met. And you're kissing her forehead like she just came back from grocery shopping. Jae-won. Min Jae's voice was calm but held a warning. Sit down. I will not sit down. You've lost your mind. She's. I said sit down. The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Jae-won sat. Min Jae turned to Mrs. Jang, who had been trying to make herself invisible in her corner. You. I have some questions for you. Mrs. Jang's eyes widened. Me? I don't know anything about any package or... Not about the package. Min Jae's smile was cold. About Nari's father. Every drop of color drained from Mrs. Jang's face. I don't know what you mean, Nari's father is. Tell Mr. Jang the truth. Min Jae's voice was soft, almost gentle. Tell him who really fathered your daughter. Mr. Shin, I don't know what lies someone has been feeding you, but my husband is Nari's father. We've been married for... I don't like repeating myself. Min Jae's eyes went flat. Dead. And if I have to ask again, I'll make sure you suffer for wasting my time. Mrs. Jang opened her mouth to protest again, and Min Jae signaled to his personal guard. The guard stepped forward, holding a folder. He handed it to Mr. Jang. Diana watched as her father opened the folder, his hands trembling. Watched as his eyes scanned the contents. Watched as his face transformed from confusion to disbelief to absolute fury. What is this? Mr. Jang's voice shook. A DNA test. Min Jae's tone was conversational. Conducted without Mrs. Jang's knowledge, using samples obtained from her belongings. The results are quite clear. This says Nari isn't. Mr. Jang couldn't finish the sentence. He threw the papers at Mrs. Jang's face. Explain this. Mrs. Jang scrambled to pick up the papers, her eyes scanning frantically. It's fake. It has to be fake. I would never. Min Jae signaled again. The guard disappeared briefly, then returned, dragging a man into the room. The man was middle-aged, disheveled, clearly terrified. His hands were bound, his clothes were rumpled, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. Mrs. Jang's face went white. Taesung, she whispered. So you do recognize him. Min Jae's smile widened. Everyone, meet Park Taesung, Mrs. Jang's former lover, and Nari's biological father. Min Jae just dropped the biggest bomb. Nari isn't Mr. Jang's daughter. Mrs. Jang cheated and lied for over 20 years. Mr. Jang gave up his wife, Diana's mother, for a woman who was lying to him the entire time. The way everything is unraveling. This is karma. This is justice. Drop a fire in the comments if you're living for this. And please hit that like button. We're in the finale, and I need to feel your energy. Now, let's continue. Park Taesung started talking. Not because he wanted to, but because Min Jae's guards had made it very clear what would happen if he didn't. It's true, he said, his voice cracking. Nari is my daughter. I had an affair with Mrs. Jang over 25 years ago, before she married Mr. Jang. When she found out she was pregnant, she told me to disappear. She said she had found a better option, a wealthier man who could give her the life she wanted. Mr. Jang looked like he might collapse. She came to me claiming she was pregnant with my child, he whispered. I believed her. I left my wife, I left Seraphine, because I wanted a child and she couldn't conceive. And the whole time, she was playing you. Min Jae's voice held no sympathy. She used a pregnancy that wasn't yours to trap you. She destroyed your marriage. She contributed to your wife's death. And she raised her daughter to torment yours. Mrs. Jang fell to her knees. Please, I can explain. I was young and stupid and there's more. Everyone turned to Min Jae. Tell them, he said to Mrs. Jang. Tell them what you did to Seraphine. I don't know what you're. The photographs. The evidence of the affair. You sent them to Seraphine yourself, didn't you? You wanted her to find out. You wanted her to confront her husband. You wanted the stress to stop. Mrs. Jang screamed. Stop, please, I'll tell you everything. She was sobbing now, ugly tears streaming down her face. Yes, I sent the photos. I wanted her gone. She was standing between me and everything I wanted. I knew she had a weak heart, I knew the shock might, but I didn't think she would actually die. I just wanted her to leave him. Diana couldn't breathe. This woman, this monster, had deliberately triggered her mother's heart attack. Her mother hadn't just died from the betrayal. She had been murdered. You killed her, Diana heard herself say. You killed my mother. Mrs. Jang looked up at her with terrified eyes. I didn't mean to, I swear I didn't mean. Slap. Mr. Jang's hand connected with Mrs. Jang's face so hard she fell sideways. You killed her. His voice broke. You killed Seraphine. You made me believe all these years, and you killed her. Sirens wailed in the distance. Growing closer. Min Jae had already called the police. Within minutes, the villa was swarming with officers. Mrs. Jang was arrested for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and a dozen other charges that Diana lost track of. She screamed and begged and pleaded. Before they dragged her out, Min Jae walked to her and leaned forward to whisper something in her ear. I will make sure that these hands which you used to whip my pet will be broken so slowly and painfully. Chills ran down Mrs. Jang's body. She was dragged out after Min Jae was done with her. Mr. Jang was arrested too, for theft, fraud, and tampering with legal documents. He went quietly, his spirit completely broken, unable to even look at Diana as the officers led him out. Park Tae-sung was taken away for questioning regarding his involvement in the decades-old conspiracy. Through it all, Yoona filmed everything. Every confession. Every arrest. Every moment of justice being served. Diana stood in the middle of the chaos, feeling strangely empty. She should feel satisfied, happy, or relieved. Instead, she just felt guilty. Because none of this changed what she had done to Min Jae. The Jang family is finished. Mrs. Jang is going to prison for basically murdering Diana's mother. Mr. Jang is going to prison for stealing Diana's inheritance. Nari isn't even his real daughter. Everything Diana suffered, everything was because of lies and manipulation. But Diana still betrayed Min Jae. She still stole those documents. How is he going to react when they're finally alone? Keep watching. When the police finally left, taking the criminals and the chaos with them, only 4 people remained in Min Jae's living room. Diana, Min Jae, Yoona, and Jae-won. Yoona. Jae-won. Min Jae's voice was quiet. I need to speak with my wife alone. Yoona looked at Diana with worried eyes. Are you sure you'll be okay? Diana managed a small smile. I'll be fine. Go. Yoona hugged her one more time, then left with Jae-won. At the doorway, Jae-won paused. Diana, I'm sorry for how I've treated you. I didn't understand. It's okay. Diana meant it. You were protecting your friend. I would have done the same. Jae-won nodded and closed the door behind him. And then it was just the two of them. Diana and Min Jae. Husband and wife. Diana didn't know where to start. Min Jae, I need to explain. The documents, my father, I didn't know he was the client. I know. I was just trying to complete my mission. It was supposed to be my last job. I was going to leave and… I know. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't think I would. I didn't plan to. Diana. She stopped. Min Jae pulled out his phone. He dialed a number. And Diana's phone rang. She looked at the caller ID. Handler. Her blood froze. She answered, her hands shaking. Hello. And she heard Min Jae's voice through the phone and standing right in front of her. Hello, Viper. The phone slipped from Diana's fingers. You. Her voice came out strangled. You're my handler? You've been my handler. Min Jae ended the call, slipping his phone back into his pocket. Sit down, Diana. I think it's time I told you everything. Min Jae is Diana's handler. He's been controlling her missions. He's been guiding her career. He's been behind everything. I cannot breathe. Drop a exploding head in the comments because what is happening? Now, let's hear the full truth. Diana sat because her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. Min Jae sat across from her, his expression finally showing something: warmth, tenderness, and a hint of sadness. Do you remember, he began, the night your mother died? Diana nodded slowly. That night was seared into her memory, the rain, the chaos, the terrible news that had shattered her. That same night, I was dying too. Diana's breath caught. My father's enemies had found me and I was running from them. It was raining so hard I couldn't see. I was going into shock, grinding my teeth so hard I nearly bit through my own tongue. Min Jae reached out and gently took Diana's hand, turning it over to reveal the heart-shaped scar on her wrist. And then a little girl found me. She should have been terrified, should have run away from the bloody stranger in the dark. But she didn't run. Tears were streaming down Diana's face now as the memories came flooding back. The rain. The alley. The boy with the desperate eyes. You offered me your hand, Min Jae continued, his voice rough with emotion. You told me to bite down so I wouldn't hurt my tongue. You stayed with me. You saved my life. I remember, Diana whispered. I remember the boy. But I didn't know, I never connected. You were so young. And after that night, everything changed for both of us. Your mother died. My uncle sent me abroad for treatment and protection. We lost each other. Min Jae lifted her hand and pressed a gentle kiss to the scar. I spent years looking for you. The girl who saved a dying boy in the rain. I searched every database, every record, every corner of Seoul. And then one day I found you. You seemed to be weak and you were looking unkept. I wanted to ignore you because I didn't have any business with you, but my eyes caught the mark on your wrist. I found you. But when I investigated further, I discovered how badly your family had treated you. How they had stolen your inheritance. How they had made your life miserable for years. Min Jae's expression hardened. I wanted to burn them all to the ground. But I realized you needed to be the one to do it. You needed to reclaim your power, your inheritance, your life. So I created a path for you. The training, Diana realized. You arranged all of it. Every instructor. Every mission. Every skill you learned. I was behind it all. I watched you grow from a broken girl into a powerful woman. And when you were ready, I engineered a way for us to meet again. The gala. The gala. Min Jae smiled. Where you stumbled into my life for the second time. And stole my heart for the second time. Diana was crying openly now. But why did you let me think I was working against you? Why did you let me steal those documents? Because I needed you to see the truth about your father. Min Jae's voice was gentle. He was the one who hired you, Diana. Through a series of intermediaries, though he didn't know that you were the assassin he hired. But I knew about it. He wanted me destroyed because I had more influence and power in the city and beyond, and he wanted to take that position. I deliberately leaked the information that I had a document that could turn me from superior to inferior. And he fell for it. He needed that document at all cost. Diana laughed, a broken, tearful sound. This whole time, everything I thought I knew. I'm sorry for the deception. Min Jae cupped her face in his hands, wiping her tears with his thumbs. But I needed you to choose me freely. Not because you felt obligated. Not because you knew our history. I needed you to fall in love with me as I am now, not as the boy from your memory. I do, Diana whispered. I do love you. I think I have for a long time. I was just too scared to admit it. Min Jae's smile was like the sun breaking through clouds. Then marry me again. Properly this time. Not for a mission. Not for revenge. Not for 1 month. Forever. Yes, Diana said without hesitation. Yes, 1,000 times yes. And when Min Jae kissed her, it wasn't a forehead kiss or an accidental collision or a stolen trick. It was a promise. A beginning. A forever. They're getting married for real? Min Jae has been protecting Diana since the beginning. They saved each other's lives as children and found each other again as adults. This is the most beautiful love story I've ever told. Drop a loudly crying face if you're crying. Drop a 2 hearts if you believe in soulmates. Now, let's wrap up the story with the ending everyone deserves. 3 months later. The wedding was the event of the season. Not the quiet courthouse ceremony they had done before. This was a celebration. Hundreds of guests. Thousands of flowers. A venue that looked like something out of a fairy tale. Diana wore a custom gown of her own design, white silk with delicate embroidery that told the story of a rainy night, a little girl, and a boy whose life she saved. Min Jae wore black, because of course he did. But his eyes only saw her. When Diana walked down the aisle, she wasn't thinking about the past anymore, the abuse, the theft, the lies, the years of suffering. She was thinking about their future. Yuna stood as her maid of honor, crying so hard her mascara ran. Jaewon stood as best man, looking genuinely happy for the first time since Diana had met him. And somewhere in the middle of the ceremony, Yuna and Jaewon's hands found each other. That's a story for another time. The wedding night. The villa had been transformed. Candles everywhere, hundreds of them, casting warm golden light across every surface. Rose petals scattered on the floor, the bed, the balcony that overlooked Seoul's glittering skyline. Min Jae carried Diana across the threshold like she weighed nothing. I can walk, you know, she protested, laughing. I know. But I've wanted to do this since the day I found you again. He set her down gently, his hands lingering at her waist. Are you nervous? Diana thought about it. No, not with you. Good. Min Jae's voice dropped to that husky register that made her stomach flip. Because I've been waiting for this for a very long time. He kissed her slowly and deeply. Diana's hands found the buttons of his shirt, fumbling slightly before giving up and simply pulling. Buttons scattered. Min Jae laughed against her mouth. Impatient? You've been teasing me for months. Fair point. His hands found the zipper at the back of her dress, sliding it down with agonizing slowness. The silk pulled at her feet, and Min Jae pulled back just to look at her. Beautiful, he breathed. You are so incredibly beautiful. Diana would have been embarrassed if she wasn't so focused on getting his clothes off. They fell onto the bed in a tangle of limbs and laughter and kisses that grew deeper, more urgent. Every touch was electric. Every whisper was a promise. When they finally came together, Diana understood why people wrote songs and poems and stories about this. Because it wasn't just physical. It was coming home. It was two souls that had been searching for each other for years finally being complete. Afterward, they lay tangled together, Diana's head on Min Jae's chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her back. So, Min Jae murmured, "Was I worth the wait?" Diana pretended to consider. You were adequate. Adequate? She shrieked with laughter as he rolled her over and began his revenge, tickling her until she begged for mercy. Okay. You were amazing. The best. Incomparable. That's better. He kissed her softly, and Diana felt something she had never felt before. Complete peace. Complete happiness. Complete love. Epilogue. 6 months after the wedding. Nari was released from prison. Her time behind bars had stripped away her arrogance, her cruelty, her delusions of superiority. She had no family to return to. She learned her father wasn't Mr. Jang, and he was also in prison, and also Mrs. Jang was still serving her sentence. Her friends had abandoned her. Her reputation was destroyed. She ended up working at a small tailor shop in a quiet neighborhood, learning the craft she had once stolen from others. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy, but it was honest. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about Diana. About everything she had done to her. About the sister she could have had if she hadn't been so consumed by jealousy. She would never apologize, her pride wouldn't let her. But she would spend the rest of her life trying to become someone who deserved forgiveness. Jang served 3 years in prison. When he got out, he was a broken man, no money, no family, no home. He tried to contact Diana once, to apologize, to beg for a relationship. She didn't respond. Some wounds couldn't be healed. Some betrayals couldn't be forgiven. He spent his remaining years in a small apartment, alone with his guilt. Jang would serve 10 years for her crimes. In prison, she had plenty of time to reflect on the choices that had led her there. The lies, the manipulation, the murder she had caused. She would never admit it, but some nights she dreamed of Seraphine, of the woman whose life she had destroyed out of jealousy and greed. Some nights, Seraphine smiled at her. Those were the worst nights of all. But Seraphine didn't just torment her psychologically. The women whom Min Jae had paid also tormented her day and night. In fact, her hands were broken the very day she stepped into the prison. Yuna and Jae-won got married 2 years later, in a ceremony almost as chaotic as they were. Yuna wore a pink wedding dress because white is boring, and Jae-won's vows included a promise to never hack her devices without permission. They argued constantly. They loved each other fiercely. They were perfect for each other. Diana took over her mother's companies, all 7 of them. She transformed the fashion brand into an empire, becoming one of the most influential designers in Asia. But she never forgot where she came from. She established a foundation for abused children. She funded shelters for victims of domestic violence. She used her wealth and power to help those who had no one else. And every year, on the anniversary of her mother's death, she visited Seraphine's grave. "I did it, Mom," she would whisper. "I survived. I found love. I found myself." And somehow, she always felt like her mother heard her. Min Jae stepped back from the darker aspects of his business. He was still powerful, still feared, but he was also happy. Genuinely, truly happy for the first time in his life. Because he had Diana. Because the girl who had saved him in the rain had grown into the woman who saved him every day. Final scene. Diana stood on the balcony of their villa, watching the sun set over Seoul. Arms wrapped around her from behind, pulling her against a warm chest. "What are you thinking about?" Min Jae murmured against her hair. Everything. How strange life is. Diana leaned back into him. If you hadn't found me that night, if I hadn't offered you my hand, we would have found each other anyway. Min Jae's voice was certain. Some people are meant to be together. The universe finds a way. Diana turned in his arms, looking up at the man who had been her handler, her target, her husband, and her soulmate. I love you, she said. I don't think I say it enough. You show me every day. Min Jae kissed her forehead, that familiar gesture that had once annoyed her and now felt like home. That's more than enough. Diana then smiled at him. It was a mischievous smile. I sense mischief here. What's going on, Assassin D? Diana laughed hard. Then she stopped and then gestured to her stomach. I think there is another Assassin D in my belly. Seriously? I'm gonna be a father. Min Jae carried her up and swayed her around. He kissed her and hugged her, then placed his ear in her stomach. Why am I not feeling any kick? Min Jae asked cluelessly. Silly, the baby is only 2 weeks old and you expect to feel it kick me. Diana shook her head helplessly. Oh, that's right. Thank you for everything. Our family is finally complete. Min Jae said to Diana and then kissed her again, and Diana kissed him back. Two broken people who had found wholeness together. Two lonely souls who had found home in each other. Two halves of the same heart, finally complete. The end. And that, beautiful people, is the end of our story. Diana started as a girl with no family, no love, no hope. She became a woman with an empire, a soulmate, and a future brighter than she ever imagined. Min Jae started as a boy dying in the rain. He became a man who would move heaven and earth for the girl who saved him. They found each other. They lost each other. They found each other again. And they lived happily ever after. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. Every like, every comment, every subscription, every share, you have no idea how much it means to me. This story exists because of you. If you loved this finale, please like this video. Subscribe for more stories. Comment your favorite moment from the entire series. Share with friends who would love Diana and Min Jae's story. I'm already working on new stories, new characters, new worlds for us to explore together. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you for everything, beautiful people. Until next time. With love. Story Lovers Hub.